Well, if you just tune in, you're watching Midday Live. It's actually a sad Saturday. You know about the demise of Christian Atsu. Sincerest condolences to the family during this, trying times. But let's still stay on this very development because sports journalist and general manager of news at Media General, Michael Otieje, has been sharing his fondest memories of Christian Atsu. He admits the loss is a huge blow to the football community, who has been monitoring the players' progress over the years. Take a listen.
I think it's one of those things where you hope, sometimes hope is all you've got and you have to keep hope alive. And for many of us who knew Atsu very well, we were hopeful. We were hopeful that he will be found alive. I said the other day that what we were hoping for was the news that will say, or that text message, or that tweet that will say, we pulled out Atsu alive. Now, unfortunately, what we got was a posting by his manager and secretary that said that Atsu's body has been recovered this morning. It's desperately sad, I have to be honest with you. He was a good man, he was a talented footballer, he touched the lives of many. Only a few weeks before the death, I was having a conversation with him on multiple national issues. He would text to ask about your son, he would ask about your parents. He was a really good guy. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He loved his football and he worked hard for it. So I think for many of us within the football circles especially, this one hits particularly hard. It's been massive. It's been from almost everybody, as you saw in the earlier reports, reaction from people like John Terry, Michael Essien, but in addition to that, Asamoah Gyan has been speaking. He has been quite supportive in the period. The Ghana Football Association, the General Secretary of the Football Association, the GFA already, as one of our reports as well said, would want all players this weekend to observe a minute silence in honor of Atsu. Look, he was, I dare say, in the modern era, one of the best players that Ghana produced. I remember covering him in his first competitive game for the Black Stars against, I think it was Malawi at the Baba Yara Stadium. I also saw his debut against Sierra Leone in Kumasi. He had time for everybody. I saw him so many times. I interviewed him so many times. We became good friends. He knew his stuff. He was a good footballer. And that's why for me the reaction from the football community has been very strong. It's been quite widespread. This is a guy who at 31 years had 3 kids, 2 wonderful boys, a daughter. He used his footballing knowledge to good effect. He did magnificent charity work. They say good people die young sometimes, and it's painful. I know the blame game will go on and on and on, but I'm not sure this is the right time for it.
So what's that one thing that will stay with you when we talk about Christian Atsu?
I think that left foot. I remember him in the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations. He was best player in that tournament. He was phenomenal. Ghana lost that Nations Cup on penalties to was it Ivory Coast. I saw him as well at the 2013 Nations Cup in South Africa when I covered him. The thing that stuck with me most, and because I like straight talking people, if Atsu was going to do the interview, straight away, if he won't do, that there's not going to be any two ways about it. My other big memory of him was the first time I interviewed him. It was at the Alisa Hotel. He walked into the interview room. He had a big day. Everybody was calling him the Messi, the next Ghana Messi and the rest. Ghana beat Malawi. He scored on his debut. He was man of the match. He got a standing ovation when he came off. And then I walked in with him. I stayed for him at the Jazz Bar at Alisa Hotel, and we had a chat. And this was one. He was very shy, soft-spoken. He spoke about how he was determined to live up to it. I remember asking him, a lot of people say that Ghanaian players start brilliantly and they don't get anywhere. He said, well, I will do what I have to do. And I think on the evidence of the 65 matches that he played for the Black Stars, on the evidence of the time that he had at Chelsea, he didn't play any game for them, but he played over 100 games for Newcastle. He was player of the year at Vitesse Arnhem. He was player of the tournament in a Cup of Nations. he did things to prove that the initial faith was good. I started hearing about him when Ibrahim Sanidara started talking about him. He always said, Oti is this boy at this young Ghanaian guy at in Portugal. If he explodes on the scene, it will be wow. And when all of us saw him that day at in 2012, because also that was after a Nations Cup where we were looking for hope. Atsu provided that hope. And in playing in a Black Stars that reached the semi-final in 2013, 2015, 2017, helped us qualify for the 2014 World Cup, played in that tournament as well. I think he fulfilled every part of that promise.
Michael Oteje is the general manager of news here at Media General. He's worked closely with the player for a long time now, and so that message there is coming from a heart of, pain, grief, and emotions.